This is a continuation of the analysis of Gemini constellation. Yesterday, the video, there is a link between the primordial double goddesses, and then with the double-headed axe as a symbol of feminism. And then the word Labyrinth means double-headed axe. It's the root for the word labyrinth. So the double-headed axe is related to the palace of Knosses and is for sacrifice, ritual, and sacrifice. And the creature, the monster, like they captured young men and women. I don't know how old they should be, like of age or something. Like around, I don't know, like maybe middle school to high school, maybe during that age, or I don't know, maybe younger. Anyway, they put them in the labyrinth, which is in the palace of Knossos. The labyrinth is a universal pattern without dead end. There's no dead end. It's only one single path to the center. It's for ritual, sacrifice, or for meditation. So in that particular story refer to Palace of Gnosis. So they put those young men and women in there to as a prey to that creature, that monster. So which means it's for sacrifice use. And so now the labyrinth is not a maze. It's not for navigational challenges. It's really like what it's come down to, like always come down to sacrifice and ritual. So in that infamous video recently, the labyrinth with a brain like maze, but actually it's not a maze. That they probably refer to the last sacrificial ritual for the upcoming uh, revive of Osiris, Horus, and Isis next week, end of next weekend, which is the 14, 15, 16 is the no wait 14, 15, 14 is Osiris, 15 is Horus, and then 17 is Isis. So I think they are pointing to that sacrifice ritual, the massive one. Of course, they will use young, targeted the young. I don't want to say in complete sentence. If you understand what I'm trying to say, then you understand. If not, it doesn't matter. So also the X, double-headed X is associated with Zeus, the thunder god, and so which means I think not only the mother goddess coming back, the father side is coming back, because you know if we look at the Gemini constellation, is one male and one female. united. So they come back to life and united. Osiris and Isis, they both are coming back. And I think that will be associated with Gemini and Cancer constellations. The next video, I will talk about the real meaning behind the Cancer constellation, because right now we are at the end of the Gemini constellation. Is for unity, for marriage, and for the doorway for them to um, you know, open to connect, right, from to both worlds, to both worlds, and at the same time, it's for transformation as well. And then it's linked to the Cancer constellation, because after the 5 days, so after the end of the year, which is July 13 next week, then the 5 days interval is for them to revive, to bring back the Egyptian ancient gods and goddesses. That 5 days they probably will do massive rituals, sacrifice. Then the new year, July 19, 18 or 19, is like the sun entering into Cancer constellation. Then the birth, the arrival of them. So the link, that's why the link between Gemini constellation and Cancer constellation, the end of Egyptian year and the beginning of the Egyptian year, is very critical. So now we learn that, the end of the Egyptian year is to become one, united together, and is for marriage, right? Unite and transformation, transcend to like embrace the opposites. Then now, what's next? Labyrinth, Minoan symbolic labyrinth of gold, 2nd millennium BC. Many have been found in sacred cave of Akalokuri on Crete. The labyrinth is the double-headed axe, known to the classical Greeks as Palakis, but which predated the arrival of the Hellenes in the Aegean world. Representations of the labyrinth are on Neolithic finds of Old Europe, and the labyrinth is continued in Minoan, Thracian, Greek arts and mythology. It also appears in African mythology. Today, it is sometimes used as a symbol associated with female and matristic power. So the etymology, you can pause this video to read through this. It is the story behind it. About Zeus. He put the axe in his hand and called the god. Labyrinth being the word axe. So like it's a parent cognate Labyrinth, the word entered the Greek language as a loanword, so that its etymology and even its original language is not positively known. The loanword labyrinth was used in Greek, but the designation the house of the double axe for the palace at Knosses is an imaginative modern innovation. Minoan civilization. The term and the symbol is most closely associated with the Minoan civilization, which reached its peak in the second millennium BC. Some Minoan labyrinths have been found which are taller than a man and which might have been used during sacrifices. The sacrifices would likely have been of bulls. In feminist interpretations, it is also interpreted as a symbol of the mother goddess and compared to the shape of a butterfly rather than an axe. In ancient Greece, the word labyrinthos is probably connected with the word labyrinth in the context of the myth of Theseus. The labyrinth of Greek mythology is frequently associated with the Minoan palace of Knossos. So, is for animal sacrifice, slaying of bulls. This is again related to Zeus. You can pause this video to read through this. So now let's take a look at the real meaning behind labyrinth. In Greek mythology, the labyrinth was an elaborate, confusing structure designed and built to kill the Minotaur, the monster. We are familiar with this story. However, labyrinth is not what we think it is. So, although early Cretan coins occasionally exhibit branching multi-cursal patterns, the single-path unicursal seven-course classical design without branching or dead ends became associated with the labyrinth on coins as early as 430 BC. This and similar non-branching patterns became widely used as visual representations of the labyrinth, even though both logic and literary descriptions make it clear that the Minotaur was trapped in a complex branching maze. Even as the designs became more elaborate, visual depictions of the mythological labyrinth from Roman times until the Renaissance are almost invariably unicursal. Branching mazes were reintroduced only when hedge mazes became popular during the Renaissance. So this is the unicursal seven-course classical design without branching and without dead ends. In English, the term labyrinth is generally synonymous with maze. As a result of the long history of universal representation of the mythological labyrinth, however, many contemporary scholars and enthusiasts observe a distinction between the two. In this specialized usage, maze refers to a complex branching multi-cursor puzzle with choices of path and direction, while a unicursal labyrinth has only a single path to the center. A labyrinth, in this sense, has an unambiguous route to the center and back and presents no navigational challenge. Unicursal labyrinths appeared as designs on pottery or basketry as body art and in etchings on walls of caves or churches. The Romans created many primarily decorative universal designs on walls and floors in tile. So many labyrinths set in floors or on the ground are large enough that the path can be walked. Universal patterns have been used historically both in group ritual and for private meditation, and are increasingly found for therapeutic use in hospitals and hospices. So, labyrinth, the word uh, might be derived from nabris, a Latin word for double-bladed axe. So it's related to the palace of Knossos in Crete early in um, during that time. Suggested that the palace was the original labyrinth, and since the double axe motif appears in the palace ruins, so labyrinth could be understood to mean the house of the double axe. The same symbol, however, was discovered in other palaces in Crete. So the double axe is not a weapon and always accompanies goddesses or women and not a male god. The association with Labyrinth lost some traction, but you know, these two words are closely related. It's you can pause this to like read through this, but this association is closely related to the Palace of Knossos, and we can read to the end, and you will understand why. Okay. So ancient labyrinths. When the Bronze Age site at Knossos was excavated, the complexity of the architecture prompted him to suggest that the palace had been the labyrinth. Um, so, so it also suggested that the palace was the site of a dancing ground made for um, this woman, where young men and women of the age of those sent to Crete as prey for the monster. So technically, is for sacrifices. So the young man and woman would dance together to, lure this creature, this monster. Excuse me. And then, so, oh, they have underground cave. It's not a surprising thing because they do like rituals, they do like something secretive, casting spells or whatever. That is common, very common because they are witches, right? Some of the people there. So as nowadays anyway. And then so that's a Egyptian labyrinth near the place called the City of Crocodiles that considered to surpass the pyramids. The structure, which may have been a collection of funerary temples, such as commonly found near Egyptian pyramids, was destroyed in antiquity and can only be partially reconstructed. So there's a lot of different labyrinths in all over the world. Labyrinth as pattern. Seven course classical or Cretan pattern known from Cretan coins 400 to 200 BC. It looks like a brain. Appears in several examples from antiquity, some perhaps as early as the late Stone Age or early Bronze Age. So this here is a four-axis pattern as executed in the cathedral, like linked together, interlinked around the center. So medieval labyrinths and turf mazes. I want to highlight this right here. So you can find full flowering of the medieval labyrinth came about from the 12th through 14th centuries with the grand pavement labyrinths of the Gothic cathedrals in northern France. The symbolism or purpose behind this is unclear and may have varied from one installation to the next. Descriptions survive of French clerks performing a ritual Easter dance along the path on Easter Sunday. Some labyrinths may have originated as allusions to the Holy City. So, although some books suggest that the mazes on cathedral floors served as substitutes for pilgrimage paths, the earliest attested use of the phrase path to Jerusalem dates to the late 18th century when it was used to describe mazes. It's not labyrinth, okay? So there are two different things, but eventually people use labyrinth to represent maze. They twisted the meaning. The accompanying ritual depicted in Romantic illustrations as involving pilgrims following the maze on their knees while praying may have been practiced at the church in northern France during the 17th century. The cathedral labyrinths are thought to be the inspiration for the many turf mazes in the UK. So, and then in Scandinavia, marked out with stones, simple 7 or 11 course classical forms, which is unicursal, not a maze. Okay. They often have names which translate as Troy Town. So that is the difference between labyrinth and maze. Prehistoric labyrinths may have served as traps for malevolent spirits or as paths for ritual dances. Many Roman and Christian labyrinths appear at the entrances of buildings, suggesting that they may have served a similar apotropaic purpose. So, um, there are various forms of labyrinth and suggest various possible meanings, including not only a sacred path to the home of a sacred ancestor, but also perhaps a representation of the ancestor, him or herself. Many New World Indians who make the labyrinth regard it as a sacred symbol, a beneficial uh, ancestor, a deity. So, they involve trickster, but at the beginning, it's only universal path without dead end, without branching. It's for rituals. It's for group ritual. Okay, so people can walk the path, ascending towards salvation or enlightenment. That is very crucial because this is like um, enlightenment is actually is for it's new age. It's not related. It's not um, it's not biblical, right? It's a new age movement, and mostly I think it's involved rituals like sacrifices as the original um, during the Bronze Age, right? The real true meaning of labyrinth. So that means there is some spiritual and healing effects of labyrinths, right? Because this is like for salvation and enlightenment. So many labyrinths have been constructed recently in churches, hospitals, and parks. These are often used for contemplation, walking among the turnings. One loses track of direction and of the outside world, thus quiets the mind. So, labyrinths have on various occasions been used in Christian tradition as a part of worship.